It's Dan. A few days ago on my Instagram, I posted something about this theory that I had. This theory that mumble rap is the hair metal of hip hop. And when I first thought of that, it was just a quick thing that came into my head and I thought it was cool. I made a post about it. But since I posted about it, I went full on Alex Jones with it and I just dove deep into that rabbit hole. First of all, I want to say I'm not hating on anybody. All of these artists, they found their niche, they have a lot of fans, they're making money, they're on the road doing shows. It's the dream, good for them. But they should enjoy it while it lasts. I also want to stress the fact that there's tons of great rap music being made out there from so many artists. It would just be ridiculous to try to name them all. But there is a specific subset that I'm talking about here. And if you've clicked on this video of me talking about mumble rap, I think you know what I mean. So without further ado, let's get to it. In order to understand the future, we have to know about our past. So I'm first going to talk about the history of rock music and how it's being so closely mirrored by hip hop. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using the first big hit by the biggest artist of the early days of each genre as the start point for that genre's history. So for rock music, this happened in 1956 when Elvis put out his song Heartbreak Hotel. Personally, I'm not a fan of Elvis at all. I think he was just a pretty boy white dude that stole a bunch of music from black people and got rich off it and never gave them credit. But that could be a whole nother video. Now, there were rock songs before this, but this was really the start of it being a commercial phenomenon. After that, in the next decade, it got to a really high form of art where some of the best music that we've ever heard was created. And then, as time goes on, there's still good music being made, obviously. There's never a point where there's not good music being made, but there is a portion of it that gets more commercialized and becomes very superficial. This trend peaked in the 1980s with hair metal. It's not that it's bad music, some of it's good, it sounds good, but it's very superficial. You can't say that it's not. It's all just about sex and drugs and strippers, you know, nothing too crazy, but nothing that's real. No emotional sentiment or artistic motivations. And people loved it. It was huge. It was one of the biggest music genres commercially of the day, obviously. But eventually, a bunch of artists in the underground were getting kind of sick of that, and they created their own style that was way more real, way dirtier, way grittier, and it was only a matter of time. In 1991, that's when Nirvana came out and blew the whole scene out of the water. Suddenly, alternative rock, grunge, whatever you want to call it, was the big thing, and people were thinking about hair metal like, oh my god, I can't believe I ever listened to that. I can't believe I made my hair look like that. What was I thinking? So basically, from this timeline, we concluded that rock had a general lifespan of 35 years of commercialization before the reaction to that commercialization took hold. Now, let's talk about hip hop. The first big commercial hit by the biggest artist of old school hip hop came out in 1986 when Run DMC dropped Walk This Way with Aerosmith. This was exactly 30 years after Elvis came out with Heartbreak Hotel. Now, in those 30 years, there were a lot of changes in the country, and this time, a black artist was actually able to become commercially successful, which in 1956 was obviously a lot harder to do. Now, they still had to play with a white band to reach the level of commercial success that they did, but obviously, it was progress. From this point on, the history of these two genres is remarkably similar. The decade right after was what some would say to be the peak of the genre artistically. The 1990s were obviously a great time for hip-hop. You can't really see it right now, but I have a big poster of Biggie right here in my living room. And obviously, there was always a commercial element to it, but as time goes on and time goes on, there is a subset that becomes very commercial and very superficial at the same time. The continuation of this trend is what has brought us to mumble rap. If you remember, earlier in this video, we calculated that rock music had a lifespan of 35 years of commercialization before it was taken over by the underground. Now, if rap music started in 1986, that means the revolution of rap music will be happening in the year 2021. I'm not a psychic or anything, so I want to give myself a margin of error of 1 year. Basically, I'm saying anytime between the start of 2020 and the end of 2022, the underground revolution of rap music will happen. I don't know what it's going to sound like. I don't know what it's going to look like. For all I know, whoever it is that ends up doing this hasn't even started out yet. But one thing is for sure, whoever starts this revolution is nobody that we've heard of now. It's very possible that I'm just an old and out of touch 23-year-old and I just don't get it, and that this kind of music is here to stay. But personally, I think in the next few years, something big is going to go down. I don't care if you agree or if you disagree. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'll see y'all soon.